Hello and welcome to SHEnanigans, where I interview women in the community who are doing amazing things in business and nonprofit world, and women whose names that you should absolutely know. So today I have with me Rosann Kramer, one of the owners of Runway Auto, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation. I have wanted to chat with you forever. Welcome to the show and thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Welcome. You're welcome. So I'm really curious about so many things about you and your business, especially since it's, you're a woman leading a business in a pretty male-dominated industry, right? The automotive industry.
Yep.
So I'd love to know how you got into it. Is this something that you dreamed of doing ever since you were a little kid? Or
No.
How did you get into this?
So I've never been a car person. Mm-hmm. I've always had one. I bought my first car for when I was 16, but not into cars. Mm-hmm. Still not into cars. After college, I went to work for DuPont. Mm-hmm. They had a performance coatings division, which is automotive paint. Mm-hmm. I was looking just for a sales job with a large company and then be there for a couple years and go do something else. I kind of joke, and I'm not the only one, that the collision industry is very much like the mob. Like once you're in, it's very difficult to exit. So I ended up being with DuPont for 16 years, from 98 to 2014. And they had, they sold to Carlyle Investment Group that division for a little over $5 billion in 2012. And when that happened, I just, understanding Carlyle's background and what they do when they acquire businesses and then do whatever and sell them, I knew that things were going to change and started to look and think about an exit plan from DuPont and what to do next. My last 12 years, with DuPont, I was a business consultant to collision centers.
When you say last 12 years, how many years were you there?
I was there for 16 years.
Okay.
So the last 12, I worked with businesses like Runway Auto, all the way to large corporations that had, say, 100 plus locations across the country, collision centers, and understanding lean and Toyota production system and things like that as far as the processes. So as well as the financials and the profit and loss statements, basically every aspect of the collision center other than actually fixing the cars. But that's what they brought me in for. They had body techs that fixed cars, they had painters that painted. And so I understood that. And my husband and I, he was ready to be doing something different, and he had always been like, we should do our own thing. Well, I understood collision centers, so we started looking for a collision center to buy.
Okay.
And I had a checklist of items that, to me, the ideal was 10 to 15,000 square feet. I had an idea of what I wanted as far as processes, and one of them, for example, is we use parts carts, meaning, and they're on wheels. So every part that's coming off the car, whether it's damaged or is going to be reused on the car, ends up on that parts cart. I need to be able to move that around. And so I wanted to have one substrate of a floor. Some of the older shops that have been added on don't have that. And I also wanted to be able to buy the building. I didn't want to pay rent to someone else for 20 years.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yes. So Runway Auto checked off a lot of boxes. When I did the research about Vermont, because I had never been here before.
Where were you coming from?
The last place we lived was California.
That's
near
quite
Sacramento.
a difference.
Yes.
Yes, especially right now.
Yes, very much. But we were in Colorado for 12 years. We were in Wisconsin for a few, and we grew up in Northeast Indiana, so not that different. And one of the things I looked at the consumer spend index, and Vermont's economy is relatively steady. Like, it doesn't have a lot of ups and downs like a lot of other places do. So all of the things pointed to this being a pretty decent leap of faith. So I came out in March of 2014 to check out the shop and the area. First time I flew into and stepped foot in Vermont. Put together a purchase and sale agreement in April. Got financing from one of Vermont's local banks in May. Quit my job in June. Moved across the country and signed all the papers on July 31st.
Wow, that's pretty fast. Now, I would think, though, that your background and your knowledge, right, you knew what to do. I can't imagine, if I wanted to buy a business, that I would have any idea what to do. Did you have people in your corner and advisors and a team, or did you just already know all the steps?
A little of both.
Yeah.
One thing, consulting is one thing, like to be able to read a report and say, this is what the issue is, this is how we can work on fixing it, those type of things. It's a whole other thing when you own it, and as a consultant, I didn't get involved in legal stuff. I didn't get involved in like the taxes and dealing with your county, city, state, those type of things. So all of that was brand new. I did have, locally, I was able to find through the small business assistance program that Vermont has. They had given me a list because I needed an attorney, I needed accountant, all of those type of things, banks, et cetera. So they had provided me a list of 2 to 3 choices of each, and called them, and that's how I ended up with the funding from, like I said, it was People's Trust Company, a local bank. And the other portion of it from consulting, I did have a lot of contacts. And so the 2nd or 3rd week of August that we were in business, I brought in she's a CPA, but she also had experience in collision centers. And so I brought her in to set up my QuickBooks and then train me, because I only knew how to read the reports out of QuickBooks, not how to do any entry or anything else. So I brought her in for a week. She set all that up, trained me, which was, I can't express to anybody that wants to do anything in business. Get your QuickBooks, your chart of accounts, all of that stuff done correctly for whatever your industry is. It will save you headaches down the line. And so that was beneficial. We had a management system that was there. I understood it, but I also didn't have the time to train. So I brought someone in that was a specialist with understanding that management system, that they could train the customer service rep at the front desk, they could train the estimators on it, our parts personnel to be able to receive parts, all of those things.
So when you bought the business, did it come with the employees too, or did you have to hire?
It came with the employees.
Okay.
Some good, some bad.
So that must have presented a unique set of challenges.
Yes, we kept things, pay and everything else the same for like 30, 60 days to be able to evaluate and that type of thing. Because this was 2014, so I don't remember the exact numbers, quite a few of the employees left within the first 90 days, which was fine. We had one that had stayed with us, and he retired a couple years ago. And, but we still have 2 that are working with us. One was there when we purchased the place, and he's been there since and probably be there till he retires. And another one that we hired within the first 90 days, he's also still with us.
Wow. So how many employees total do you have in your entire operation?
8.
8, including you and your husband?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how has that been? Like, has it been what you expected all along, or what were the surprises along the way?
Some of the surprises for me, I overestimated how easy it would be for me to adapt.
Oh, really?
Yes, and underestimated how hard some of the stuff was going to be. With DuPont, the last several years, I traveled all the time. Like 80% of the time, I traveled.
For business or personally?
For business.
Yeah.
Some personal, but business-wise, I was on the road like 80% of the time. I should say mostly in the air. But I was out and about and meeting our customers wherever they were. Because of what I was doing as a consultant, I was at a lot of conferences and different things like that. So going from that to then being in the same place, working with my husband day in and day out, was huge. And then we also we were living near Sacramento, which is huge, and you can get anything you want almost 24 hours a day.
I was going to say, hey, went from that to Little Vermont.
And so all of those things, I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal to adapt. We had moved multiple times before. It was a lot more than I anticipated.
Culture shock is real.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the first couple years were really hard. Like anybody going into, whether it's an existing business that you buy or starting from scratch, the first couple years, especially the first year, I was probably at work by 7. I usually didn't leave till 6. I didn't take a lunch. Most of my lunches were peanut butter and jelly sandwich because I could walk around the shop with it and move around.
Not worry about it.
And then on Saturdays, I would go in for even though we were closed, I would go in for half a day. Joe, my husband, would come to the shop. We would leave together, go grab lunch, come back, work together for about an hour, and then he would do stuff, and then I would go home. And then Sunday was pretty much the only day off for almost a full year.
Wow.
That was very surprising. I was not expecting that. But if you're an owner of a business, you do what has to get done. If the trash needs to be taken out, you take it out. If the car needs to be washed, you wash the car.
But I'm sure, like, a lot of people give up, right? Like, so what kept you going? Because if this is day in, day out, and it's hard, what prevented you from saying, this isn't worth it, I'm just going to chuck it and go back to a corporate job?
I would say a couple things. One, my husband and I, even though we're Generation X, I would say we're more like baby boomers, like just from a work ethic standpoint. We certainly never expect anybody to hand us anything. We feel like we need to earn it, do the work, that type of thing. Neither of us are quitters, and we put everything into it. I mean, we sold our house. We moved across country. We didn't have family. We didn't have, at the time, didn't have friends here or anything else. It was the two of us and the dog. So I think we just felt we have to make it work. And we also had the confidence in ourselves that we could do it. That we knew, I don't think we knew how hard, but we knew the first couple of years were going to be difficult. Yes.
Well, also, it speaks to your relationship as well, because a lot of couples, when they're doing something like this, it can break a marriage, right? As well as, bring it tighter. So how did you make sure that your relationship stayed healthy and that you didn't start fighting? Or maybe you did, I don't know, but,
there was definitely some strain. I would say the biggest thing would be my husband, because of him. He's much more laid back, easygoing. I am not laid back at all. And so for him, it was a lot easier to basically put up with me and, all the things. The other thing, I think it was maybe about a year or so in, maybe a little longer, I had told him, I was like, we need to make some adjustments. He and I have swapped roles over the years. When we first started, I was out in the shop more often because he's not from this industry. The last job before this, he managed a liquor store in Colorado for 12 years. And so he was handling the invoices and different things in the front office. I was out in the shop doing the repair planning and production and things like that. And I was pushing, like, we need to switch. And so that's what we did. I was like, because this isn't going to work, because I feel like I'm the only one who's knows all the different positions. And after that, it was rocky at first, but then worked out well. And so we've gone back and forth since then, and comfortable being able to switch into the different roles.
That's amazing.
As needed.
And how, I'm curious, like, you knew the industry, or you did, he didn't. But that's, like, as you said, it's very different from owning the business. How did you manage that piece of it? Did you have, a mentor, or who did you go to for advice? Like, how did you have support in that aspect of growing your business?
Yes, from my background, I did contact a few of the shops that I had worked with when different things came up. I also, there were a couple gentlemen, Mike Anderson and Ron Kewen, that worked. They didn't work for DuPont. However, they were consultants that worked with body shops, similar to what I did, but they had what they call like a business council or a 20 group. And so they worked with, on average, 15 to 20 shops from different markets that would get together 2, 3, or 4 times a year in different locations around the country. And they're talking about the business and how to make it better. So both of them were huge in understanding, being able to talk to them. A lot of it was text or email and stuff like that, with time changes and whatnot and their travel. Right. But being able to run things and bounce it off of them to
huge.
See. Yes.
Yeah.
Then I'm trying to think, about just shy of a year being into the business, I applied and was accepted to BNI, and there are quite a few business owners in there as well. And so that's another aspect that was very helpful. I also joined a business council with BASF, who's does our paint. I joined a business council with them, and I've also been involved in Women's Industry Network, which is collision repair, and they do an annual conference. And so, and it's all women, so it's the one collision industry conference where there's a line for the women's restroom.
All of the other ones too.
We do, actually. So what happens when we're at a hotel for our annual conference, they usually shut off the floor to us. So all the restrooms, including the men's restrooms, are for us.
I love it. I love it.
But that was the nice thing with DuPont. You go to a conference or one of our regional meetings or something, and because there was never a line for the women's restroom.
Yeah. So actually, this is like a good segue into multiple things. Let's see if we can keep them straight. But I'm curious, how it has been in this traditionally male industry for you, and did you have other women? Obviously, you did for this. If there's a conference that exists, but how did you navigate that as a woman in a man's world?
It's a lot different now than what it was. When I first started with DuPont in 1998, it was a lot different. There were a lot less women. And the Women's Industry Network didn't even exist at that point. And so it was very different. Part of it also, I started with DuPont in Indiana and Wisconsin. So there were even less women there than, for example, if you went out to California or on the East Coast. In those markets, it was very male dominated. And so when I walked into the first shop, the DuPont rep that was taking me around was like, oh, this is a great shop and, super good customer. He's, you're going to love him, all that kind of stuff. We walk in the door and the owner of the shop points at us and says, don't tell me that's my new rep.
And he wasn't joking.
He was not joking. And I thought Bob, who was escorting me there and introducing me to our customers and stuff, I thought he was going to pass out because he could not believe it. And we stayed and talked to the owner and stuff, and he was like, did you go to college? I was like, yes, I went to college. And he's like, do you paint? I was like, not yet. And so he was pretty much, well, I'm not going to need you for anything. So I left my business card. I was like, I'll stop by when I'm in town, because a couple hours, I covered half of Wisconsin, so he was a couple hours away. It was about a year and a half later that he finally called for something, and I just made sure I delivered. And that's the key. I don't think it's just for women, but it's for anybody, is whatever you don't lie, and then whatever you promise, follow up on it.
Right.
So when someone asks me a question, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I can paint. I clearly could not. I'm not going to lie and say I can paint. And if I didn't know the answer, I'd say, I don't know, but I will find out.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Ironically, I was only in Wisconsin for 3 years, and the person who was replacing me was a guy. And none of the shops we went to asked him any questions, and he knew less than I did when I started. But it was because he was male. That type of dynamic is not necessarily the case anymore, because there are a lot more women in the industry, in all states. And stuff. So it's quite a bit different now, even in 2014, moving here and buying it. Not as many. It flew around like wildfire when I first bought the business inside the neighborhood of Collision here, that there's a lady over there.
Do they think you were like a mechanic or something? Or
I'm not sure what they thought, because I'm one of those people, it's not that I don't care what's going on, but I concentrate on what I can do anything about, which is in my four walls, and taking care of our customers, taking care of our employees. So I didn't really pay that much attention to what was going on. It was mostly someone would come in, one of the reps of one of our products, and the rumor mill and those kind of things. So.
Sometimes those are fun to watch and see what comes out. Like, what did you hear from who? Yeah, that's fun. You mentioned BNI and networking, and that's where we met, right? We're in different chapters here in BNI in Vermont. I know what it's done for my business, but I'm curious how it's helped your business. And you've been in this network. For people that don't know, it's Business Networking International. It's groups of people that meet together weekly and really form tight relationships, which I think is in Vermont is really, really important, right? Building those relationships and trust is a huge factor in business and what you've talked about, integrity and following through and delivering on what you promise and promising only what you can actually deliver, all those things. So I'm curious, how BNI has been for you and why you continue to be a part of it.
So when I first started, a big piece of it was I'm not originally from here. So part of it was meeting people. It was certainly networking and hopefully getting business, but it was also meeting people that are Vermonters, but also in business, all of those type of things. And every year we've gotten business from it. So it's, money that comes, that we are getting via referrals that we close the deal and are able to repair the vehicles. However, so for example, from 21 until about almost the end of 2024, all the collision centers in the entire country were booked out 3 to 6 months. It was just, claims were through the roof. It's just the way it was.
Right.
At the end of 24, it started to drop down. And a couple times, the claims would drop down a little bit for a few weeks. And in the last year, it's not been as consistent. However, the number of vehicles that I have that are BNI referrals, either from a referral partner or a referral partner that my neighbor, that type of thing. And then now we have several where the neighbor has referred someone else who's referred someone else. And so I have a little sticky note and it has all the names of all the BNI referrals that come in, first, second, third tier, however far it goes out. And when I put in, thank you for closed business, because we track everything, I cross their name out. I have 8 names right now on the sticky note. And it's pretty much been like that, different names.
Since day one.
Yes. And because it's similar to finances, like when you invest and you have compound interest, it's compound referrals in BNI, the longer you're in, if you do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And so it's been beneficial. Business-wise, it's been great. In our chapter currently, we have 4 different attorneys specialize in completely different things. And obviously there's other ones there, Burlington Telecom, like whoever's represented, you get different knowledge from all of them. And then I've had the opportunity to also be a mentor to other ones that had started a business and then they're hiring their first employee. And like they'll call and be like, well, you've done this. How do what do I do? What am I supposed to think of? All those kind of things.
That's a whole ecosystem.
Yes. So I feel like it's a give and take both ways.
Yeah. Speaking of give and take, let's talk about the give a little bit, because I've seen you in so many different places in Vermont, right? Like whenever I show up at a conference, there you are. You were at the nonprofit summit recently and the women's conference. And so tell me a little bit about your community involvement and why you're there and what you're doing. And also Runway Auto does some gives back, right? If I could get the words out properly. So tell us a little bit about that.
So, I mean, we've been fortunate. I grew up poor, so growing up that way, and, basically through most of my 20s, putting myself through college, I didn't have the money or even the time, because through college, I most of the time had 3 different jobs. I was living on my own, to be able to give or pay it forward or any of those type of things. We've been fortunate at Runway Auto, even though not every year is great. We've been able to take care of our employees, take care of our customers. My husband and I make a decent living. And so one of the first things that we tried to start doing, and we did in 2017, I think was the first year, was to donate a car. And in the collision industry, there's the National Auto Body Council, and they help facilitate that. So they help find a vehicle that's been totaled by the insurance company, and the insurance company will donate it to us, basically, but the goal is then to fix it and donate it. So we donate the vehicles, and we've been able to do 4 of them. They do get donated through a nonprofit, but they're donated to an individual, the ones that we've done.
Right.
So the first one was with Lund, to a young mother. The second one was through A New Place, and it was also a mother that was fleeing domestic violence and ended up home unhoused, and then because she got a car, she was able to get a promotion. Within a couple months, was in an apartment.
So it's like domino.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and she's still doing really well.
So you keep in touch.
Yes,
Oh, I love that.
well, Facebook,
Yeah.
and that type of thing. We also did one through Vermont Works for Women. Another mom that had purchased a vehicle that turned out to be a lemon, but she was stuck with the payments, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
And so with same thing for transportation for work and everything else. And then the last one was through the Josh Pilata Fund to a service member that served with Josh Pilata, and he did not have a vehicle, and it was hard for him to see his family. And I mean, I've had a vehicle since I was 16. I can't imagine not having one, especially here. There just isn't, we have decent but not great public transportation.
Well, if you're in the city, you're okay, right? Yeah.
But anywhere else, and I live outside of the city, so anywhere else it's very difficult getting around. So that's one of the first things that we were able to do. I also met, I've been in WBON, which is Women Business Owners Network, and it's supporting women in business. And so that's been very positive, same thing as BNI in the sense of giving and receiving.
Yeah.
And I was on the board with them for a couple years. This is the first year I'm not on the board and been able to go as an attendee most of the time. And so it's kind of nice,
Yeah.
a little weird, but kind of nice. And so that's been very beneficial. And then we also, if different things come to us, if I either know the people or support the project, then I will definitely make a donation. One of the major ones is with United Way. They have, they call it Small Business 365 is the name of the program. And the first year, and it's $1, $3, or $5 a day is the point.
Right.
But you're giving something every day. And so the first year I did the smallest amount because I didn't really know that much yet.
Yeah.
As I got to know, her name's Erin Regan, when I got to know her a little bit better and really understanding what the United Way does and the impact it has in our state, it is unbelievable. And it's one of those, you never know how, you feel like you don't know where your money's going in a way. With them, I know it's getting used and it's getting put to good use where it's really needed. And so the last couple years, we've upped it to the max, $1,800 a year that it is.
That's great.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're able to pay it forward, very happy to.
Yeah. I think that's really important, and we have a couple minutes left. So I'd really like to just see if, if you were talking to a young woman or another Gen Xer, right, who's wanting to start a business, what would your advice be?
The thing that made it easiest for me was already working in the industry. Even though I didn't work in a body shop yet, I was in them and around them and talking to owners and employees and things like that. And the other piece, if you can, is work in whatever that industry is, even if it's not directly in the business, but in the industry, really understanding it. And then also quantifying what's realistic as far as what you make. Because one of the things, everyone's like, oh, well, I have this great idea, or this is what I love to do. If you love to do it, but you're not making any money, I call it a hobby.
It's
I know
true.
it's not
It's
popular
not sexy,
to say
but
that.
Yes,
But I mean, realistically, you work to make money, to pay for whatever your lifestyle that you want or need to have. And a good idea, or even if you're great at whatever it is making sure that it's going to do what it needs to do for you.
Yeah.
For what your needs are and everything else.
I think too, what I'm also hearing from you with having that background in sales really helps you get out there and sell, because what a lot of small business owners do when they start a business, they have the thing that they really love to do, but then the sales part is really icky, right? And they feel like, I can't sell, and that is a whole mindset shift that they need to go through. So get comfortable with your industry and get comfortable with sales.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and whatever you're doing, you're basically always selling. And people, I think it's a bad connotation because they think used car salesman is like that thing. If you're doing sales right and you have something of value, it's a win-win. I am selling a product or a service that you need you are happy with the product or service that you got, that's a win-win.
Right. I have a problem, you solve it.
Yes.
It's a no-brainer, right? It's a service. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so very much for coming. And I can't believe our time is already up.
Crazy.
I know, right? Thank you for coming. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and
as have I.
enjoy the rest of your winter day.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too many collisions in this winter weather, but probably a lot.
We're happy to see the cars because it puts food on our tables and everything, and we like to take, my favorite
care
thing
of
is
people.
taking care of our customers.
I love that.
And so,
Thank you.
thank you.